Brown kicks it out. Corner three for Tatum. Got it. Jason Tatum with 28. The lead back to 7. Jaylen Brown. Patty Mills on him. Step back, jump shot. It's good. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Big buckets for Boston. Williams on the steal. Throws it to Tatum. Tatum inside. Layup is good. And the foul. And Durant throws the ball against the stanchion.
Welcome to Growth Minded. I just had to throw that in there. That's what I've been consuming as of late. Can't get enough of the Celtics. Sorry if there's any Nets fans listening. So today is Sunday, April 24th, 2022. Today's episode is going to be called Man's Search for Meaning. So I believe that your attitude is your superpower. I believe that if you can master your attitude, you can act in ways that help you grow in everything that you do. The way that I've built up my attitude is through developing habits of gratitude, grit, and growth, which helps me appreciate the past, see lessons from challenges in the present, and then be able to look forward to a better future for myself and the people in my life. So that's why I'm doing this. I believe that there are valuable lessons that aren't always taught in school, through family or through your work environment. So I've decided to build a community of people who want to learn about new tools that they can use to see amazing changes in their lives based on some of the things that I've been able to implement into my life. So without further ado, let's get started. We're kicking off season 3 of Growth Minded here. Now just bear with me. I'm just sharing my screen real quick. So yeah, this is why you should listen. I just kind of laid it out, but yeah, I truly believe this stuff. I believe in attitude, and if you ever want to Google growth mindset and some of the benefits of gratitude as well, it really goes a long way. So on today's episode, I'm just going to be touching on gratitude, personal things, and then growth as well, with the long-term goal of basically building this community up where it's interactive, and I have folks on the show, tell me what they're grateful for, things that they're going to try to plan towards so they can grow. And then, so that's basically what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to just be telling you a little bit about what I'm thankful for over the last few days, and then what I'm aiming to do over the next few days. I'm also going to be having almost like weekly book reviews in here with passages that I think are really important to digest and learn from. So I'm reading this book right now, Man's Search for Meaning. So I'm going to be basically talking about a few passages from there too. And then for those listening, for those who want to get involved at home, I'm going to have some homework for you. And if you ever want to stop by the show to basically track your progress and kind of share where you're coming from, always happy to have you on as well. And then we're going to wrap things up with some good news as well. So with that said, gratitude, this is how I like to kind of start my day off. I try to think of a few things that I'm thankful for. And it's a good way to start the day off. So with that in mind, yesterday was Saturday. So I watched the Celtics Nets game in Brooklyn. Nets got out to a quick lead, but I don't think we were too worried. The Celtics have been playing out of their mind defensively, especially on Durant and especially on Kyrie. So we were able to shut them down. Who's that guy? Bruce Brown. I'll give you a shout out, and Blake Griffin too. You guys had that spirit and that hustle. And that's why I like watching the Celtics so much, because they kind of play with that spirit and that energy anytime you catch them on the court. So I linked up with a few friends yesterday as well. We played some basketball in Cranford, and I got a little sunburn. I think it's my first sunburn of the year. Usually I get sunburn in February, so this was a nice surprise to get it so late in the year. Being Irish and having some white skin, but I know my freckles are going to be coming in, so maybe that'll be on next week's gratitude list. Who knows? And then I finished the first season of The Mandalorian. I binged that over the weekend. That show's really good. It's like a Western. It's like a cross between a Western and like a sci-fi, anything like Star Wars. It's just a really cool combination. Whoever plays the Mandalorian kind of reminds me of like Clint Eastwood in like those Western movies from back in the day. Just really good one-liners and just really cool plots and stuff like that. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out too. That's pretty cool. So another habit that I've developed is planning, like thinking ahead and defining some of the roles that are important to me in my life. And it's something that, I wish for the listener at home too, to be able to develop. So for me, quad 2 is basically things that are important, but they're not necessarily things that are immediately need to action. So I feel like it's a lot of like maintenance in a good way. Like you don't want to take your car to the shop when it's out of oil, or you don't want to fill your car up with gas when it's already done, like when it's already out of gas. So these are kind of just proactive ways that you can kind of stay on top of life and find meaning in it in your own way as well. So for me, I kind of have different values and stuff, but family and friends are always at the top of the list. Physical health is always important, as well as mental. I don't know if I have that on here too, but very important. Spiritual well-being, professional, and then adventure travel is something that I like to do as well. So in terms of like family and friends, at least this week, I'm looking forward to potentially seeing my grandma again on my dad's side, and then catching a Mets game on Saturday. That'll be cool. Physically, I do this softball league on Monday nights. They throw me in the outfield, left field, luckily, and I'm getting hit with a lot of baseballs or softballs, I should say. So it definitely keeps me busy. Looking forward to that. Starting to run a little bit more. So that's good because I fell off that for a little bit. In terms of like spiritual stuff, I'll get into this a little bit more in the episode. It's kind of based on what the man's search for meaning is. Some of this stuff made me think of this stuff again, but basically my 25th birthday is coming up. If I was really good at like editing and stuff, I would maybe like get just like an applause or something. But I'm just kidding. Long story short, I want to just kind of look back and think of the moments from the last year that made life worth living. So I'm going to try to visualize that and kind of put that into my daily habits and stuff. Just being able to think back about good things, and then, even to think ahead about things to look forward to as well. I'd like to be able to make that a part of my routine if I can. So professionally, I'm taking the week off. So not too much here. Happy hour on Thursday, and then a new job coming up, I think over the next few months within my company. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And then to round things up, I'm off for the week, so a little bit more time to relax, some leisure, things like that. So finding a new place to hike will probably be on my to-do list. And for those of you who don't know, I'm based out of New Jersey, and it's the Garden State, and there's always some good mountains around here. Watchungs are always pretty cool to see, so maybe I'll end up there. So to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, this is where like the attitude comes into play, the implementation, like things that you can get from reading. This is kind of where we're getting into here. So I'm reading this book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He's a psychologist. I'm not sure if he's still alive, but I know that he was on track to becoming a psychologist when he was taken and put into a concentration camp back in the 1900s. So it's some serious stuff. And I have two quotes that really resonated with me from this reading that I like to share, and hopefully for those listening, you can digest it however you want to and find meaning and potential actions from it as well. So the first one is about spiritual life in a concentration camp. And then the second one is about humor. So the first quote is, "It was possible for spiritual life to deepen, to retreat from their terrible surroundings to a life of inner riches and spiritual freedom." So this was an interesting quote to me, because when you read about internment camps, concentration camps, Auschwitz, it was terrible conditions, terrible living conditions. Inhumane is probably an understatement. So it was surprising to me that Frankl mentions that I guess the deepest part of his life that developed during that period was his own spiritual life. So they would have Frankl and the other folks who were in the concentration camps doing a lot of manual labor and working, long hours, not getting great sleep, not getting a lot of good clothes, and definitely not getting fed as well as they should have been. So Frankl was basically saying that anytime he would be forced to do a lot of this hard work, he would basically think of his wife. He and her split up when taken into the concentration camps. She went to one, he went to another. So he had no idea if she was alive or not. So anytime he had like a free moment to himself, he would think about her, and he would think about seeing her again. And it gave him hope that, one day the hell that he was living in would pass and he would be able to see his wife again and have a life with her, despite all the terrible things that he was seeing. So for me, obviously, better living conditions and things like that, but feel like you can still get a lot out of this. So for me, that's why I mentioned like being able to visualize a lot of good memories, whether it's just growing up or people or friends and family that I've had a lot of good times with. Maybe we don't keep in touch. That's how it goes sometimes. No hard feelings. But to be able to kind of recall those memories to your mind when you're going through challenges, I feel like is an important habit to have, as Frankl laid out for sure. So yeah, I like to be able to do that. And the second quote is in terms of another part of the spirit, the human spirit, is humor. Both are kind of ways that you react to things. So the second quote goes, Frankl goes to say, "Humor was another of the soul's weapons in the fight for self-preservation. Humor, more than anything else in the human makeup, can afford an aloofness and an ability to rise above any situation, even if only for a few seconds." So there's a lot to unpack there, but basically, I guess the way you react to a challenge or a situation kind of can help you define I guess you can't really control a lot in life, but you can control how you react to something, and the way you react to something is everything. I feel like the actions that you take after reacting to something big, I've read like your actions kind of set a precedent for, how your attitude is. So sometimes you can think of having a great attitude, and it's not until you actually act on it sometimes that your attitude follows. And so it was surprising again to hear Frankl talk about being able to have a sense of humor, to be able to not take things too seriously in the living situation and living conditions that he was in the concentration camp. So obviously, on a much lighter note, I think I had my cousin over maybe last week or so, and we're just riffing a little bit, like just doing a little, like trying jokes on each other. So I feel like that's another interesting habit to try to implement, would be, just try to find a few things throughout the day that is funny. You know what I mean? So you can kind of laugh at yourself, whether you embarrass yourself talking to someone, or I don't know, even as simple as like tripping and falling over yourself. Obviously, like, you can't really compare my situation, my living situation, with Frankel's, but it is life nonetheless. And I feel like the ability to have a good sense of humor about anything is important, no matter the circumstance. So I guess for homework this week would be to kind of digest those two quotes. The first one was about deepening your spiritual life, and then the second one was deepening your sense of humor. Are those things, humor and spirituality, are those things that you learned with your friends? Are those things that you've learned with your family? Have you learned that stuff through work at all? So I would, I guess, challenge whoever is listening to think about those two quotes. And then what I'm going to do for next week is think of 5 moments from last year that was, I guess, cornerstones that helped me build up my own spirit, especially as I'm getting into, another year here. And then secondly, I'm going to think about, if I had to do stand-up, what would make it into my stand-up routine? Something funny, something light. So I would challenge the listener to think of 5 moments from last year that you're grateful for, that built up your spirit. And then I would challenge you as well to think of something that would make it into your stand-up routine. If you had 5 minutes, what would be 1 or 2 things that would make it into your own stand-up routine? And then to round it out, with some good news, I try to think of things that are relevant for everyone. There's a new Pusha T album that came out on Friday. If you haven't listened to that yet, it's explicit, so maybe don't show your little cousins or anything like that. But yeah, it came out. I have to listen to it again before I digest it. For me, like, albums that are really great are ones that have at least 4 good songs. I know there's at least 2 really good songs that I like on this last album, so I'm gonna have to give it another listen and see if any other make the cut. And then my brother told me that Kendrick Lamar is dropping an album in May. The GOAT, he's coming back with some hot fire, so I'm definitely gonna be looking forward to that as well. Doctor Strange, that movie's coming out, so I'm gonna be trying to catching that in theaters for sure. I think that's in May, first weekend of May. Maybe this applies to you, maybe it doesn't, but Summer Fridays, they're coming out. I know at least my work is starting that soon. Maybe you're in the office setting too, and you're getting those Summer Fridays. If not, put some time aside, enjoy Friday by yourself. Make your own Summer Friday. And then I guess, yeah, just this is more personal stuff, but yeah, my birthday's coming up. Looking forward to that. And then May is like the best month of the year, so looking forward to some really good weather coming up too. So that rounds out the episode here. Just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in and listening to another episode of Growth Minded. Like I mentioned, I believe that your attitude is your superpower. I believe that if you can master your attitude, you can act in ways that help you grow in everything that you do. The way to build up my attitude personally is developing habits of gratitude, grit, and growth. Helps me appreciate the past, see lessons in the challenges of the present, and then be able to look forward to a better future for myself and the people in my life. So again, I believe that there are valuable lessons that we aren't always taught in school through family or work environment. So this is why I've decided to build a community of people who want to learn about new tools that they can use to see amazing changes in their lives. And obviously it's not like a Band-Aid. There's some tools that you can't always apply to life, and things just don't get better with one thing or another. I think it's a combination of what you can control and some of the tools and resources that you learn about as well. So just wanted to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Growth Minded. This was Man's Search for Meaning. Signing out until next time.